When I decided to write about the gift of the liberal arts, I started another notebook. You realize that writers always carry notebooks with them, although it looks rude sometimes, but we do. And I filled this notebook almost completely with the details. When I started to think, what could I tell you about the value? What could I tell you about the practicality? And so now I will share with you some of those details, not the whole notebook. From the liberal arts, we learn how to read critically, how to make independent judgments, how to identify ethical and moral issues, how to be skeptical and how to distrust, how to live and learn as a collective process. It's an education that teaches us to be analytical, to see beyond the good and evil interpretations of the world, to be fascinated, not stymied by ambiguities, and to be inspired, not afraid to explore the unknown. It teaches us to achieve an open state of mind, to recognize prejudice, to understand more than just ourselves, and to be empathetic. And there's more. From this education, we learn how to educate ourselves, and thus to be more easily adapt to change. Very important skill in this stunningly fast-moving world. You will likely have more than one career in your life. But while occupations and professions come and go, the tools of the liberal arts will be constants in your life. Tools for keeping up with change. The depth, the breadth, the context that you have learned here will help you to make good decisions, both professionally and personally. To be sure, the liberal arts background cultivates leadership. Consider that every profession has its own language and its own basic views. We visit a variety of worlds in the liberal arts, and we learn to recognize those diverse languages, all of which allows us to understand varied points of view when negotiating or problem solving or writing stories about the world around us. It is, in essence, an invitation to engage in learning, in questioning, in creating, in examining, in debating, in making a difference. Indeed, to engage in and even to provoke the kinds of dialogues on issues of the day that are at the heart of maintaining our democracy. One of my favorite discoveries in researching my books was a character named Harry Weinberger, an individual who was a lawyer in the first half of the century in New York. He was a great, passionate advocate of democracy, dedicated his life to it. And he said, "I learned by experience that democracy lives on the exercise and functioning of democracy. As a child learns and grows by doing, a people learn democracy by acting in democratic ways. I knew from the history of other countries that even the best democratic constitutions did not prevent dictatorships unless the people were trained well in democracy and held themselves eternally vigilant and ready to oppose all infringements on liberty." Our liberal arts training makes us practitioners of democracy. One of the best features of this gift is that it forces us to take risks, and Jessica referred to this brilliantly. Risks every time we speak our minds, risks when we put our convictions into motion, risks in opening new doors and entering rooms where we have never been before. Remember the feeling that you might have had when you took a course in a discipline you knew nothing about? It felt uncomfortable at first, but then once you were swept into the fascination of the topic and had entered a new place in mind and spirit, you forgot your discomfort. That's good practice for life, believe me. I feel that way always before I start a new book. I felt that way as a reporter when getting a new assignment for a story. I felt that way 5 minutes ago when I started this speech. I knew that it would feel strange at first, and then I knew that if I had the courage to stick with it, it might indeed eventually be fulfilling. I've learned that courage to take risks right here. The liberal arts education, the experience allows us to experiment, to learn in a rather safe environment what courage feels like, what it demands, and what can result from it. And quite frankly, I know that part very well. E.B. White once wrote, "If we had to say what writing is, we would have to define it essentially as an act of courage." I am not sure I could have ever become a writer if I had not first learned courage here. But perhaps my favorite part of it all is the joy of learning for learning's sake. That door to the mansion I mentioned before was never slammed shut, despite my feelings during those early days after graduation. And I have been compelled and inspired to visit its many rooms all of my life. Consequently, I have never been bored for a single minute, partly because of that feeling that there is so very much I want to learn, having caught a glimpse of all the possibilities during my undergraduate years. Thus, my curiosity is vast. When I was sitting where you are today, some of my classmates did in fact know exactly what they wanted to do and how to pursue it. But most of us, I know, did not have that clear path that I also so longed for. We did know, however, how to ask questions, how to express ourselves well, how to think through a problem, how to protest against what we did not believe in, how to stand up for what we knew to be true, how to envision a better world. We had curiosity that would lead us to a rich lifetime of learning. We had a passion for making a difference. We were humble, yet we were stronger than we knew. You are the same. I am confident of that. So please embrace what you have and go forward. Never waste a moment regretting or doubting or distrusting this education. Your appreciation for it will grow with time. It's almost magical in a way. As you move forward, the more you do, the more you will see how applicable and indeed how practical it is. With time, the parts begin to fit together. So in closing, I urge you, be brave, seek the truth, work hard, have fun, love life, pursue something larger than yourself. Put your convictions into motion, keep your sense of humor intact, and most important of all, never give up.